So y'all should know by now that I really don't like this show. There are so many small and big things I could complain about, and I did a speedrun already in another video. And you know what? Critiquing is easy, but sometimes we are more negative than positive because we forget to compliment the things we like. For a change, I will point out the things that happened in Robots in Disguise 2015 that I liked. I was actually inspired to do this because I got and realized there are worse Transformers shows that bored me to death and felt fake with its characters' emotions. When I actually started Robots in Disguise after the Prime Wars trilogy, I was shocked to feel a sense of relief. Robots in Disguise deserves a lot of criticism because of how it wrote returning characters from other aligned continuity material. And Robots in Disguise constantly reminds us that it is part of the aligned continuity, so it's impossible to turn a blind eye. The show would have been better if it were its own thing, maybe in a universe where all Decepticons are animalistic. Because now we're just confused about why all the cons are crazy idiots. Sorry, good things. You know, in all honesty, the animal designs are sometimes kind of cool. Sometimes. We can make up whatever reason to explain them, like maybe these crazy animal bots were all gathered together onto the prison ship on their way to a mental asylum. Onyx Prime's Triptych Mask story also explains why they look like Earth animals. Good, now we have peace and can enjoy these Decepticons as much as we can. My favorite thing is that they weren't all just bots that turn into animals. I remember being so surprised the first time I saw Steeljaw when he turned into a car. Most of the animalistic Decepticons don't actually turn into the animals they resemble, except for some like Zizza, Saberhorn, and Scorponok. The frog, wolf, crab, lobster, grasshopper, deer, they all just turn into cars. I thought that was a neat feature that they were Cybertronians given a little spice of animal features. But also including some straight up animals into the mix was cool Cybertronian biological diversity. Some are a little too much for me, but I really like some of the species. My favorite is actually the Chompazoid because it might not be based on an Earth animal, but an alien one. They are huge and frightening, and being the dark one I am, I wonder about their predatory capabilities. I also love the Corvicon designs. And this thing, because I like the idea of something more than a bipedal Cybertronian turning into a car, but the odd quadruped that turns into a car. It was pretty interesting seeing another talking, thinking Cybertronian transform into the same thing they do, but have such a different protoform. I will be honest, apart from Bumblebee's neck, I like looking at the characters. Robots in Disguise is unique in its bright colors and 3D elements that make all the characters pop out more than Rescue Bots, Academy, and War for Cybertron. These characters aren't always outlined in black but other bright colors, and I actually adore Robots in Disguise's willingness to give Decepticons flashy looks. See, Transformers Prime specifically restricted the colors of the bad guys to make them seem like bad guys. Your standard dark colors with the exception of the Pretty Boy, and Blue Eyes was off limits for Decepticons. But Red Eyes being an evil color doesn't actually make sense because it's a recent cultural Earth concept. Transformers shows a few decades ago were very willing to give Autobots red eyes, such as in Beast Wars and Armada. I talked all about eye color before, and thankfully, Transformers has started to change its blue-red eye restrictions. IDW has fully embraced giving Autobots red eyes to normalize it, making it just a regular part of Cybertronian biology. Robots in Disguise remade Aligned when it joined in and created blue-eyed bad guys. It also creatively threw in green eyes, orange eyes, purple eyes. This kind of thing had been missing for years. I miss seeing this kind of thing because I really like how most Autobots in Armada had red eyes, while the Decepticons could have green, orange, and my favorite, pink. Robots in Disguise came along and said no, eye color means nothing in the lines. You can never tell someone's evilness based on appearances. And then Robots in Disguise had a whole episode dedicated to convincing the audience that this was the bad guy. I mean, look at him. But then there is a delightful twist that he was the good Autobot all along. Also, the concept of Cybertronian sign language they put in was really cool, and the fact that Bumblebee knew it was great because he wasn't always able to beep. In the Aligned novels, Bumblebee was trying to discover a way to communicate with his team. Cybertronian sign language may have helped him at the start. I like Robots in Disguise's inclusion of Minicon characters because I really like Minicon and human interactions in Transformers. When there aren't Minicons, I find myself not really liking the humans. But Minicons and humans can connect way better than the larger Cybertronians and humans can. See, Minicons and humans both get each other, the larger Cybertronians look down on them. There was even a thing where Sideswipe insulted the Minicons and didn't take them seriously. I like that. and I like how minicons and humans can go do things together that humans and larger Cybertronians otherwise can't do. Surprisingly, I liked when Bumblebee fanboyed over Earth culture. It's refreshing because usually Cybertronians are just bashing everything about Earth and calling it inferior. But Bumblebee loved a particular band and wanted merchandise, and he spends other episodes promoting how cool Earth history and nature is. The return of Vehicons was also wonderful, and their individuality was better expressed now that they were freer. I am so attached to the concept of Vehicons being their own people. They recolored themselves and got some more speaking roles, but Shadelock is the greatest example of them all because he legit named himself and became an actual character. Good on him. When it comes to the humor, the show was surprisingly witty with its comebacks. Sideswipe's retorts actually get me and they totally suit his character. I only wish that he developed in the way that Smokescreen did, but Sideswipe barking at Strongarm was funny when it wasn't overdone. It is easy to get tired of their fighting, but there were some real zingers in there. The voices in the show were great. I mean, after watching anything Rooster Teeth worked on, yes, the voices were good. The Prime War trilogy and the War for Cybertron trilogy includes a lot of growling characters, and everyone on screen is full of angst. So when I put on Robots in Disguise right after, a sense of calm came over me. The voices in Robots in Disguise also get really fun with the accents they give the characters. Like, Thunderhoof became an instant fan favorite because of how he talks and acts. It's totally deserved. There are a few interesting villains in here that I like, such as Steeljaw, Saberhorn, and Scorponok. Like the characters that took themselves seriously and weren't focused on one weird interest like racing or shiny objects. Steeljaw is actually a smart villain with goals who is well written, which is much more than I can say about Megatronus. I wouldn't have minded if one of these characters had appeared in Transformers Prime. Some characters I really couldn't take my eyes off of because I just like how they looked and moved. The animation is quite fluid compared to other Transformers shows if we are honest. I was disappointed whenever they did the speed tunnel thing because I would rather just watch the characters move on the scene. And of course, post-war Cybertron is an incredibly refreshing idea when so many shows start mid-battle. I like that they didn't include Megatron in the show when it was established that its plot was to be on Earth catching fugitives. Megatron wouldn't have fit here, and I'm glad he was left out. He would have belonged if the show was darker and showed the Autobot Decepticon tension on Cybertron as all the refugees returned. I like that Soundwave tried so hard but couldn't find him, and that Starscream couldn't either. I only really wish they kept Optimus out of it too, to move the story forward and to make his death in Transformers Prime have more weight. Mentioning both Megatron and Optimus would have been nice to do, but for the story that was being built, putting in Optimus was the wrong choice. His existence brought me nothing but disappointment. Damn it, nice things. Starscream is easily the highlight of this show, because a very serious villain suddenly bursts in and is taking names. The majority of the Decepticon cast were just lunatics, but Starscream was out to get people, because he wanted revenge for how he was treated in Transformers Prime. He was a properly teased villain because they didn't show him outright. First we heard his voice, and that would have excited all the Transformers Prime fans who recognized it.
I found one.
Don't let it out of your sight. With any luck, it will lead us to the others.
Starscream had a mini story arc within the show, but the best thing about him was whenever he entered the scene, they dropped some killer music that no other villain in the show earned. I mean, hell yeah, finally Starscream is portrayed as a badass. He's not here to mess around anymore. The thing I really liked, possibly my favorite thing in the show, is that they basically made him a multi-winged avenging angel, and it gave me Devilman Crybaby vibes. I don't think his design was the most handsome, but the thought of a less chunky Transformers Prime Starscream getting that kind of upgrade, I can't wait to draw such a thing. Naturally, there are a lot of disappointments I'm not going to get into because I'm trying to be positive, but there were a few things that impressed me. I enjoyed that Robots in Disguise, IDW, and Cyberverse took the lead and decided it was time to normalize female robots and diversify their body types. They're just robots, and if we don't question why some of them are male, we shouldn't question them when they're female. It was awesome to see Strongarm getting a regular Autobot car body that we're used to seeing Transformers have. She still has lipstick, but you know, Transformers Prime only gave us 2 female robots, while Robots in Disguise threw in a bunch randomly and wasn't shy about making some ugly animals like the other male characters. You know, you have true gender equality when they're just as willing to make ugly female characters as male ones. I just wish they'd focused on the real Decepticons and explored the complicated relationship with the Autobots as they either integrated into society or hid from the police. That's my only desire because it is an aligned show, because what they had going would have worked better if Robots in Disguise was a standalone show.
Steeljaw set up the